This is the Ultrarunning History Podcast. I'm your host, Davey Crockett. Thanks for coming. This is episode 164. In this episode, I will share the running career of ultrarunning pioneer and legend Sue Ellen Trapp. Sue Ellen Trapp from Florida, the fourth person to be inducted into the American Ultrarunning Hall of Fame, as I continue this series on Hall of Fame ultrarunners. There are now 11 books in the Ultrarunning History series available on Amazon, covering about 200 years of fascinating history of men and women who dared to go ultra distances when the public thought they were crazy. Learn about their adventures and accomplishments. On Amazon, search for Ultrarunning History. If you want to buy multiple books, contact me for a discount on ultrarunninghistory.com.
Standing in the Hall of Fame, and the world's gonna know your name, 'cause you burn with the brightest flame, and the world's gonna know your name, and you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame.
Sue Ellen Trapp was one of the elite women pioneer ultrarunners who burst into the sport in the 1970s. She was the fourth person to be inducted into the American Ultrarunning Hall of Fame. She quickly achieved world and American records and showed how fast and how far women could run. With a busy life, including her dental practice and family, she rose to the top of the sport twice after an 8-year ultrarunning retirement, setting world and American records in her 40s and 50s. Sue Ellen Hamilton Trapp was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Her ancestors were from Pennsylvania, Germany, Austria, and Denmark. In the late 1960s, she went to dental school and married Ron Trapp of Minnesota, who was also a dentist, and entered the Navy in 1969. In 1971, Ron was stationed in San Francisco, California, as Sue Ellen was finishing dental school in Chicago. She gave birth to her daughter, Christina, in April while in California, and then graduated from dental school in June. Trapp said that she thought the baby weight would melt off, but it never did, so she took up competitive tennis and swimming, with some running to help get her into shape. Her first road race came in 1971, San Francisco's 12K Bay to Breakers. She said,
"It was awful."
Later that year, the family moved to Lehigh Acres, Florida, a suburb of Fort Myers. She and Ron set up a dental practice together and started running together. In 1975, she ran her first marathon at Gainesville, Florida, with 4 hours 4 minutes, but gained speed quickly. She placed second in the 1976 AAU Marathon Championships in Crowley, Louisiana, with 3:10. That marathon finish qualified her to run the Boston Marathon by 20 minutes. Trapp won the 1975 and 1976 Melbourne Marathon in a course record 3:40 and 3:09. She was one of the very early women to run the Boston Marathon. She finished in 1977 with 3:52. She would run that prestigious marathon for several years and brought her time down to 3 hours flat in 1979. After stacking up many wins during 1978 of distances from 5 miles to the half marathon, it was time for Trapp to try ultramarathons. Her first ultra, held on December 30th, 1978, was an unusual one. She ran with a field of 54 runners in the Florida Space Coast 50K, thought to be the world's longest beach run. At age 32, she was the first woman finisher and the 10th overall, with a time of 4 hours 9 minutes. That impressive time on such a rough surface ranked her 5th in the world for the 50K distance. In February 1979, Trapp went to run a road 100K in Miami, Florida, with a massive field of 88 runners. It was also the Road Runners Club of America National Championship. They ran on a 3.3-mile loop in a park 19 times. During the race, she paused a couple minutes to change out of her soaking wet shirt. The delay cost her the win. When she finished, she thought she had broken the American record by an hour and a half, with 9 hours, 12 minutes, but Liddy Palaris of Miami, Florida, won the race 2 minutes ahead of her. That race hooked Trapp on ultra distances. She said,
"I just wanted to see if I could do it. Some people probably think I'm crazy. I am. It was such an exhilarating feeling. At 40 miles, I started feeling it, but something makes you go on. I've never had 9 hours go so fast."
3 months later, like most ultra runners of the era, she made the usual pilgrimage to the 100K capital of the country at the time, the Lake Warramug 100K in Connecticut. At Lake Warramug, she went through the marathon mark at 3 hours 30 minutes and won the 50-mile version of the race with 6:55, just 11 minutes off of the world record. Continuing, she grabbed the American record for the 100K in 8 hours 43 minutes. Her time was also the second fastest women's 100K performance in the world. Clearly, Trapp had emerged as one of the top female ultrarunners in the world. In September 1979, she won the Michigan 50-miler road race in Cooper Harbor and claimed her first world record with 6 hours 12 minutes. Nick Marshall commented on the state of women's ultrarunning in 1979.
Although 180 different women finished one or more races in 1979, almost a threefold increase from the preceding season, these areas remain predominantly a male preserve. While 6 races each had at least 10 women competitors in them, there were 18 ultras that featured all-male casts, and numerous others had only a solitary female mixed in with the men.
For 1979, Trapp was named the best U.S. female ultramarathoner by Runner's World magazine. Trapp ran her first 24-hour race in February 1980 on a track at Miami's Tropical Park's Grandstand Stadium. She discovered that she had world-class ability for that type of race. Trapp reached 71 miles during the first 12 hours, reaching 100 miles in 17:45. She went on to beat the 24-hour world record, winning with 123 miles. She was also the overall winner. After that race, she held the world records for both 50 miles and 24 hours.
I was hoping for the record, but I had no idea what would happen. I had built up a lot of miles preparing for this, but I was injured off and on since October. I was really worried about not making it. I didn't know if I could last mentally. That was as far as I ever want to go, though. I can't see going past 24 hours mentally.
In August 1980, Trapp went to Portland, Oregon to compete in another track 24-hour race. She was hoping to break the 100-mile record. She reached 100K in 9 hours 40 minutes, but at mile 85 she broke down and had to quit. For training, Trapp logged miles by running home from work each evening, about 10 miles, carrying with her a cassette tape deck for music. In January 1981, Trapp was the overall winner of a 100K in Miami and lowered her American record to 8 hours 5 minutes, beating all the men in the race too. At the peak of her ultra-running career, she retired from running at the age of 35. She said that during the past 6 years, she couldn't count the number of times that she quit running because of life's demands away from the road and track.
Life would be so easy without running. I wouldn't walk around like a zombie anymore. I would have time to read. I just wanted to say, get off the road. I don't even want to see you.
But then she would keep going and admit that she probably would never quit.
I couldn't really live without it.
Well, this time she did quit. She ran a few marathons and 10Ks now and then from 1982 to 1987, but mostly concentrated on her family and dental practice. She disliked the limelight. One can only wonder what ultrarunning achievements she could have accomplished if she had continued during these years. In 1986, now at the Masters age of 40, she started winning in the Masters division in short races and then ran marathons again. In 1989, at the age of 43, Trapp fully got back into the ultra driving seat. She changed things up and competed on trails for the first time. She ran the 1989 Leadville 100 and finished in 5th place with a time of 25 hours 19 minutes. She returned to Leadville in 1991, finished in 2nd with 24:21. But after that, she left the trail 100s behind for good. In September 1989, Trapp again returned to one of her great strengths, the 24-hour race. She went to New York City to run the Sri Chinmoy 24 at Flushing Meadows, which was the national championship. At this race, she would run against young Ann Treason for the first time. During Trapp's running retirement, Treason had taken over the ultrarunning women's world, snatching away many of the records Trapp used to have. Treason now held the 100K world record, which was nearly an hour faster than Trapp's record 8 years earlier. In this 24-hour race, Trapp ran a steady race, always in second place to Treason, and reached 100 miles in 16:04. She then went further and finished with an outstanding 136 miles, shattering the American record at the age of 43. But Treason went even further, 143 miles, and was the overall winner. In May 1990, Trapp was back in New York City to run the Sri Chinmoy 100-mile road race, again at Flushing Meadows Park, on a 1-mile flat loop. It would be one of her finest races of her life. At mile 40, Trapp developed blisters, but pushed on. She hit the 50-mile mark in 4th place with 7:08, and reached the 100K mark in 2nd place with 8:58. At mile 66, she took the overall lead. Trapp won and finished in 2nd place overall with 15:05, just 2 miles behind her running friend Sid Christie, also a dentist from Florida. She set an American Masters 24-hour record.
I just loved the 1-mile course and the people. I felt great.
Trapp competed again at 100 kilometers in February 1991 and won at Jed Smith 100K in Sacramento, California with 8:38. That put her on the USA 100K team, and she started to compete internationally each year at the World Championships. In September 1991, she won the 24-hour national championship in Oregon at Megan's Run, covering 136 miles on the 400-meter track with 49 runners on the track. In that race, she set an American age group record, 45 to 49, along the way for all ultra distances, 50K, 40 miles, 50 miles, 100K, 100 miles, and 200K. She reached 100 miles in 16:05. She had a rare win over Treason, who stopped at mile 84 due to stomach problems. Trapp had her own problems. At mile 40, she developed bad blisters, and toward the end of the race, her neck was so sore that she had to run with her eyes pointed skyward. She said that it felt like whiplash. The Oregonian wrote,
Trapp, who averaged a sub-10-minute pace, kept up a slow jog over the last half hour of the race. Ron Piron walked beside her. Only when she stopped at the finish line with Piron and staggered a couple of steps did the exhaustion show.
A few days later, she said,
I enjoyed it. I probably have forgotten a lot of the pain already. You always blank that out or else you'd never run again.
In 1992, Trapp put aside her dental practice for a few months to train and went to Spain. At the World Championship, she was the 3rd American to finish. She said it was a, quote, fantastic experience. She would continue to compete at Worlds in Belgium in 1993, where her team won the bronze medal, and in 1994 in Japan. On January 1993, while running home from her office wearing a reflective vest, an oncoming car forced her off the road and into a ditch. The driver drove on.
Trapp, 46, a world-class ultramarathoner, suffered a dislocated shoulder and a gash on her elbow that required stitches. For the next month, Trapp's shoulder was in a brace. It didn't stop her from running.
4 weeks later, she ran a half marathon with her shoulder still in a brace. She was determined to run the New York Ultimax 100K in Central Park in another month to again qualify for the U.S. World Cup 100K team. Even sore, she still put in 100-mile training weeks. She finished the 100K race in 8:31 and qualified for the team going to Belgium. In Belgium in August 1993 at age 47, she ran the second-best 100K time of her life with 8:17 and finished in 13th place. Trapp returned to the 24-hour race in September 1993 at Olander Park 24 hours in Sylvania, Ohio. She broke Trayson's American record and ran 145 miles for the overall win. Trapp now held American records for both track, 136 miles, and road, 145 miles, for 24 hours. In the years to come, she ran Olander another 7 times, coming away with 5 wins. For almost a decade, she dominated in 24 hours and won an unprecedented 7 national 24-hour run titles. When asked about her training for 24 hours, Trapp said,
I really believe if you're not prepared to do a 24-hour race, you shouldn't do one. I would always know if I was ready. I would look at races about 3 months before the event. I think it's important to really be in shape for 3 months. I would lead up to a race with 120-mile weeks and hold it there for 3 weeks. Then I would feel confident and ready.
Trapp said she would never race beyond 24 hours, but in November 1993 she competed for the first time in a 48-hour race at Gibson Ranch in Sacramento on a 1-mile flat loop. She set an American record with 223 miles, shattering the old record by 16 miles, and set a World Women's Masters 48-hour record by 7 miles. It was only 3.5 miles short of the women's track world record, and was the second furthest ever in the world up to that point, and still an age group record today.
You got me going in circles.
Because of this record-breaking year, Trapp made it on the cover of Ultrarunning magazine in 1994. She was also named the National Female Ultrarunner of the Year for 1993 by USA Track and Field. Norman Klein wrote,
The 48-hour race can basically be described in 3 words. Sue Ellen Trapp. Knowing how tired she had to be, we were all impressed by her continual smile and most pleasant demeanor. If ever someone displayed such grace and dignity during the heat of competition, Sue Ellen managed to do just that. Ron Trapp stayed awake for her the entire time, provided information to her regarding her pace and splits, made sure she fueled properly, and gave her encouragement when the going got tough.
When interviewed in 1994 about ultrarunning, she said,
It's the same for all ultrarunners. Everyone thinks you're absolutely crazy. Everyone is aghast, and you end up not talking about it. I'm kind of a different species. I don't have a lot of speed, but I seem to be able to keep going. It's just something I do.
In 1996, Trapp continued her 48-hour career by running at the World Championship in Cergeras, France, on a 300-meter track. Trapp, age 50, won among the women, raising the American record to 225 miles. She became the oldest woman to set an American record in running. She missed the world record by only 2 miles. She never took sleep breaks and only stopped to rest twice. Once she put up her sore feet for 25 minutes and another time for 15 minutes. She had the reputation of rarely walking in a race.
Anybody can stay up for 24 hours, but in 48 hours, you have got to still run well. You need a little rest. It's hard to balance that. You go through a lot more periods of death and recovery than you do in any other race. You go down and think, I'm going to be lucky to stand upright, and then something comes over you and you get that other wind. It goes back and forth.
In 1997, at the age of 51, Trapp wanted the 48-hour world record very badly. She trained about 130 miles per week leading up to the race of her life. She arrived again at France, ready and determined. Trapp won and placed third overall with a stunning 234 miles, claiming the 48-hour world record by about 7 miles. She broke the record with 1 hour and 15 minutes to spare.
I really struggled. It was so intense until I got the goal. Then it sort of freed me. I moved better than I had in hours.
After the race, she said,
I feel just exhilarated. Each race has its own personality. I'm glad it's over. I'm happy to have gotten this world record off my back.
She was cruised by her husband, Ron, and only rested for 20 minutes during the race. She celebrated by vacationing in Paris, but was very sick for a while. Trapp's 1997 48-hour record of 234 miles was broken in 2006, but stood as an American record until broken in 2014. In 1999, Trapp tore an ACL when her dog ran into her during a walk. She had that repaired and came back to run one more time at France and covered 206 miles in 48 hours, which still is a women's 55 to 59 age group American record. Her last 24-hour race win came at Ultracentric in 2002 with 133 miles. Her 100-mile split at the age of 56 was an outstanding 17:31, an American age record. Her 133 miles is still an age group world record as of 2024. Then her ultra-running career started to wind down. In 2003 and 2004, she was troubled by stress fractures in her foot. She still had dreams of returning to France and competing again in 48 hours. She came back to ultra-running briefly in 2005 and 2006, but no longer had the speed she once had and was just out there for fun. In 2005, she was inducted into the USA Track and Field Masters Hall of Fame, and in 2009, she was inducted into the American Ultrarunning Hall of Fame. In about 2009, she underwent spinal fusion surgery. She ran her last ultra in 2011 at the age of 64 and covered 91 miles in 24 hours for an American record for that age group. When asked why she was still running, she replied,
Things are better. Things smell better. They taste better. There is nothing like being in shape, even at my current level.
In 2014, at the age of 67, she still ran about 6 miles a day but needed another knee surgery. She liked to talk about her 2 St. Bernards and llamas. She had taken up CrossFit because she said she was such a weakling, showing off her, quote, twiggy arms.
I'd love to do another ultra. I don't care what I do or how I do really. I just want to be in the game.
Trapp held 25 American records in ultra running and 3 world records. In 2024, she was 78 and living in Fort Myers, Florida with her husband, Ron.
Do it for your country, do it for your name, 'cause there's gonna be a day when you're standing in a hall of fame. Ooh, and the world's gonna know your name, 'cause you burn with the brightest flame. Ooh, and the world's gonna know your name, and you'll be on the walls of the hall of fame. You can be a champion.
Stay tuned for more episodes about Hall of Fame ultra runners. With that, this is Davy Crockett, and this is the Ultra Running History Podcast. I hope you run fast and far, enjoy life, get outdoors, And most of all, stay safe and don't take unnecessary chances.